My friend Larry Kelly. My good friend. He's awesome. He's telling me stuff about Houston that I never knew. Start with Satsuma Farms. What is that?
Satsuma Farms, the early Japanese immigrants to Houston, back in the 30s or 40s, way back, they planted Satsuma oranges because Houston, of course, had this wonderful temperate climate, and they husband their oranges till they mature, the orange trees, they mature, and then when they were ready to take it to the market, they had a Houston freeze.
What year was this?
In the 40s at least.
Okay, so it's got to be documented somewhere.
Right. And so, but that's how this area got its name, was after the Satsuma oranges that they grew down there.
Right.
Then we go over to the 3rd Ward, I think it was. It's over off Washington Street and Houston Avenue. And the people that live there are descendants that came here before the Allen brothers. They were freed slaves. And
what's the time frame on that?
the freed slaves, I'm not up to date on on that. So
but the Allen brothers, when they
that's definable. The
Right.
freeing slaves and Allen brothers is definable with dates, and so they were here first in Houston, and they settled in the area around like I say, Washington and Houston Avenue. And one lady there told me, besides that story, she told me about that the girls that worked their trade, prostitutes,
back in the day,
wore their net worth around their ankles. It was the gold pieces around their ankles. Yes. And so, where else were we going for this
there was a
adventure?
grave, a common grave or something.
Well, we have a grave here, someplace in West University, where the poor people were buried. The ditch that goes to the center of West University is called Poor Farm Ditch. And so that's where the immigrants, the people could not afford to pay for a funeral or were buried in Houston back in the day. The old Spanish Trail, we think of it as a road, a highway, whatever. It ran from Buffalo Bayou south for 60 miles. And when I first came to West University back in the 70s, people were still walking around with those metal detectors.
Oh yeah.
And we're finding Spanish bullion. The Spaniards are very sloppy. And what was our other? Ghost. We have many ghosts, and everybody has ghost. All right. So, but not everybody has a ghost in their shopping center. Now, I have one. So when I was
this?
on the Bel Air Triangle on Bissonnette and Maple Ridge.
Yeah, we all know that.
Right. So what we had there was, I was demolishing the place with a bunch of Salvadorian illegal immigrants, and
Nice people.
in the process, we found a door that was full of tiny little holes, and on closer inspection, there were shotgun pellets in it. So, sometime later, a local policeman, probably a Bel Air policeman, came by and he was visiting, chatting us up, and I mentioned the door, and so he said that backing up a little bit, the place was a strip joint before I bought it. And so for years I had this great stash of pornographic magazines that I've since absolved myself. They're not even in the attic.
Right. Hopefully disposed of.
Right. So anyway, we were cleaning that place up and found the door, and I just chatted up a policeman, I think a Bel Air cop, and he says, "Oh, that." He said, "Well, what happened is that when it was a strip club, the bartender got to messing with one of the girls. His wife found out about it. She came into the club and shot him and killed him there in the club. So for years afterwards, I owned the property. My tenants come to me and says, Larry, there's a ghost in here." So I said, right. So I'd go there. We had a fireplace there in the pigeon flat. I said, well, that's the ghost. So time goes by, and I'm over working on the side of the building, and we had a cleaning service that was renting one space and then a garage next to it to store all our cleaning stuff. So two or three Hispanic girls run out of this garage and they're white as a sheet. So I keep working, they're jabbering and carrying on. It's too far away for my limited Spanish. So I thought, well, maybe I should check and see what was going on. So I went to the office, and the young lady there, I said, well, what happens here? She says, well, there's a man in the storage closet. So I'll go check. So I went in the storage closet, and everything in the room was on the floor. Yeah. And I've since had some sort of Houston amateur shamans in there, and they said he definitely was there, and they told him to go on, back home, whatever. So that was fun. But I found out ghosts are rather common. I was over at Wagner Hardware, and it's Sherwin-Williams now, but Wagner Hardware over there. And just chatting guys up, and I can't remember how this came up, but they said, well, we had someone come in asking for particular paint, and so we couldn't find it. And so Mr. Wagner, turns out, was always very particular about keeping everything stocked in the store. So the next day, they went back, and the guy in the store goes back and he looks at the shelf, and the item this guy wanted was sitting there. So his posit was that Mr. Wagner came back and restocked it. They had gone back and looked in the storeroom. There was they were out of this particular paint this guy wanted. So they sent him on his way, and so they came back. So, yes. What else?
Galveston's got to be full of those. And old gangsters.
Well, some of the more prominent people that we know around Houston, the Stewart Title Company was founded by Stewarts and the Morrises. Well, anyway, the Macios. I'm sorry, the Macios. And the Macios were big-time gamblers. They owned some of the stuff down the gambling joints down on the piers in Galveston.
Back in the 50s?
40s. Yeah, 40s. So where else are we?
I don't know. We hit Galveston.
Right.
It might be good.
Well, I was trying to think of all the local stories. Right. But anyway, those are the major stories. Oh, I also have a tenant who claims she lives out in Mission Bend, and she claims that she's always getting bothered by the ghost there. And we were talking earlier about the prison farms. This particular subdivision was built on one of the prison farms. Yes.
Cool hand loop.
Yes. Don't. The midnight special, shine your ever light on me.
Yeah, right.
Right. So anyway, that's part of what I've learned in my getting around Houston.
Years of living in Houston. You were born here, right?
No, I was born in San Francisco. I'm an Army brat.
Ah,
Yeah.
wow.
So I don't have any invested interest.
You went to Lamar, right?
I did. Yeah.
Lamar High School.
Yeah.
You know Houston pretty well. That's
Well,
awesome.
I've heard about it.